Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about making cheese and some of the options, and I'll be showing you it as well. Now I know a lot of you already know how to make your basic farm cheese, and that is what I'm talking about. I'm not an expert when it comes to making cheese outside of this area, but I have been making cheese like this for a good amount of years, off and on. And so I've used it for making ricotta cheese, for using in my homemade lasagna and things like that, and also for making your more firmer cheese like you put in a ball. Now I've yet to do it in the form of a hard cheese, but I'm hoping someday to convince Mr. Rain to make me a cheese press so I can do that. Moving on to a few things about making cheese from your raw goat's milk, cow's milk, or even store-bought pasteurized milk. For this method, you have to heat the milk hot enough that it's going to actually kill everything. It's no longer going to be raw. Now, if you're looking for a truly raw cheese, there's different kinds of enzymes you can use, and it's going to be a much slower process. What I recommend is to try making cheese with either your kefir grains, which I've done in the past and it worked really well. It's going to be a far more tangy cheese if you do that. What I did was, after 24 hours, I removed the kefir grains and then let the milk kefir sit for another 2 days, and it got very thick like yogurt. And then I strained it out like you'll see me do with this cheese later in this video. Another option is to use your homemade yogurt. Let it get good and thick and then strain that out. Again, you're probably going to end up with a much more tart cheese than you may want. So for now, I'm sticking with the basic non-raw cheese to get a cheese that's actually quite versatile, and I can do a lot with it. So that is some of the things I'm going to go over today, is the different uses for this type of cheese. And it is also the quickest process and very, very easy to make. So let's get started on the actual cheese making. All right, so what I have here is 1 quart of raw goat's milk. Tomorrow we're going to be picking up some more, so we need to get this used up. So today is a good day to make cheese. Now typically when I make cheese, I'm going to do a half gallon of milk at a time, or you could even do a whole gallon. But all I need to do is use up this 1 quart. And for the sake of the video, that's really all I need anyway. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this over on my hot plate, stick my thermometer in there, and turn the heat up. I put it on about medium to medium high. And you want to let that get up to at least 180 to 200 degrees, or you can just watch it. When it comes to a boil, or when it gets a good thick skin on the top, you know it's hot enough. Okay, so while that's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the juice from a lemon. Now what you want is 1/8 cup, I keep wanting to say 1/4 cup, of your acid, whether it be vinegar or lime juice or lemon juice, per 1 quart jar. That's why I keep wanting to say 1/4 cup. So if I was doing a half gallon, I would use 1/4 cup. If I was doing a whole gallon, I'd use a half cup. Okay, so we're about up to 1/8 cup. So my milk is ready. So now what I want to do is I want to take my lemon juice and just pour it in there. I want to stir it in a little bit. You should start curdling up immediately. I can already feel it getting thick. Now, I'm going to just let that sit you want to let it sit for about 15 minutes. Well, you're going to be wondering why I'm wearing different clothes in the middle of this video, and that is because this part of the video didn't get recorded yesterday like I thought it was doing. Sometimes I forget to actually hit the record button. Forgive the disjointedness of this video, but that's okay, because there was a few things that I wanted to talk about in the video as I was shooting it yesterday that I left out. So I'll be doing that as I go on to this next step, and then we'll move on to the end of the video, being the part that I shot yesterday. So this is actually a second batch I started from another quart of goat's milk, raw goat's milk, and in this one I used the lime juice. Lime juice adds a really unique flavor to the cheese, which I think would be really good in Mexican food. So Tomorrow I plan on making some burritos, and I'm going to be using this cheese in that. So what I've done here is this cloth here is some, even though I do have cheesecloth, I wanted to use this today so I could show you that you don't have to have actual cheesecloth to do this, as long as you have some good clean cotton fabric that you can use. This was the fabric I used for years doing the cheese, straining my grape juice, and anything else like that. And it worked great for me. Now, having these mesh strainers like this, and this is the largest one, and so this, and then there's a medium, and then the small one are really handy because now I don't have to use clothespins to hold the fabric in place. I can just set the fabric in the mesh strainer and then let it drain. And now it's already to the point that right here, I've just about got enough of the liquid strained out of it like this, that right here makes a really good ricotta cheese for using in lasagna, making raviolis, or anything else that you're going to use ricotta cheese in. You can stop at this point depending on how you want your cheese to turn out. I'm thinking about keeping this a little bit softer than you'll see in the rest of this video, but it's all about a matter of what you want. You can even make this a hard cheese by using a cheese press, which I don't have yet. If you're wanting your cheese to be more firm, you're simply going to keep straining it out like this. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a soft cheese because part of the video that got left out is what I did with it after I got to that point. So it's not going to be a ricotta cheese today. The harder you want your cheese, the more firm you want it, the more liquid you're going to want to try to squish out of it. And I find that kind of massaging it like this is really going to make the difference. Now, I'm not trying to get this super firm, and you may be surprised that once you pull the fabric back at how firm it actually is. When I get it to the point where it's like Play-Doh, that's a really good consistency to work with. So then what I do is I'm going to take the cheese out of the fabric. Try to scrape as much out. You can use like a spatula of some sort, anything to kind of scrape as much out of there as possible. And then I like to wash these out by hand, and then if it's sunny especially, I like to hang it in the sun to fully disinfect it. So I've got my cheese to this point. This is where I'm going to want to add my salt. So you don't need a whole lot, maybe about, for this much, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon. And then just kind of knead it in there like you would bread dough. Now keep in mind, this is just from a quart of milk. If you were to use a whole gallon, you're going to end up with 4 times this much. Now, as far as your uses for the whey, there are so many. You can use this for fermenting with. You can feed this to your dogs. My dogs love this, and it's really good for them. You can give it to your chickens, which I haven't done that yet, but I think I might give them a little bit today and see how they like it. You can drink this yourself. You can use it in your homemade smoothies or whatever. This is really good, healthy stuff. You can also use this in homemade breads. It makes your breads just really, really good. You know, pancakes, anything like that. And if all else fails, if you stick it in your refrigerator and forget about it, and it starts to spoil, and then you're like, oh, dang, like I tend to do. I stick it in my refrigerator and mean to use it, and then I forget. This is really good for your fruit trees. So I'll pour it onto my apple and my peach trees and whatever fruit trees I have at the time. It's just a really good fertilizer for them. So you think about the price that you're paying to buy this much cheese right here, ricotta cheese in the store, is going to cost more, and you don't even get the whey. And with this, you're getting a far more healthy cheese. So the next step that I'm going to do then is I can either use this cheese as is in whatever I want to do, or I can then flavor the cheese. In this picture I'm going to show you next was some cheese I made last week, I think it was, and I divided it into 4 parts and flavored each part differently. In one, it was the turmeric and black pepper. In another, I used cumin, chili powder, and cayenne pepper. Another one was the rosemary garlic. And then the last one was the tomato and jalapeno. I used dried tomatoes and dried jalapenos. And they were all really, really good. I was having a hard time deciding my favorite. And you can get as creative as you want with your cheese. But today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make 2 of the ones I made in there, plus a couple of variances. So I'm gonna start with the rosemary garlic. And to be honest, I couldn't decide which one for sure was my favorite out of all that. So we're gonna put about better than a teaspoon of some granulated garlic. The rosemary garlic was excellent, excellent, and so was the turmeric. I don't know, and the jalapeno tomato was really good. I did like the Mexican flavored one, but probably not as much as the rosemary and garlic. So to this one, you see what I'm doing here? I probably put in about a teaspoon of rosemary to this amount. And again, it's going to be totally up to you. And what I do is I just knead the flavors in like I would bread. And you don't want to wait too long because it's going to be easiest to do this while your cheese is still warm, rather than waiting for it to get cold, because then it's going to get a little drier, it's going to get set up a little bit more. And then the other thing I wanted to add to this was this lovely blend I got from my friend, who's going to be bartering with me for some more here real soon. And this time I'm just going to take the lid off. This is going to be quite spicy. So anyway, I'm just going to knead that in there. Obviously, I'll probably be the only one eating this unless my oldest son comes over, because he likes really hot and spicy too. Because that blend, I tell you, it is a spicy one. And you can shape this however you want. I'm sure you could even use like a cookie cutter or something. I'm just going to make it into a nice little ball. And what I found is once this is chilled in the fridge, it actually slices up. As long as you have a good sharp knife, you can actually slice this and make slices out of it, even though it's a softer cheese. Now to this one, I'm going to be adding my black pepper and turmeric with another little addition. So, I'd say about a teaspoon or so of black pepper, lots of black pepper. And we know that black pepper and turmeric are great together because the black pepper helps the body assimilate the turmeric better. After I made that one batch of hamburger mac and cheese where I used the combination of turmeric and curry together, I decided I love the flavor blend. So I'm going to try to this one adding some curry. Now this looks like it's going to be pretty strong, but that's okay because I am one that loves lots and lots of flavor. Oh, by the way, I put on my Facebook page the other day a post about my son. He had clearly had an ear infection and had it for 3 days before he came and told me about it. And he's 22 right now. And so I gave him some turmeric capsules I'd made, some moringa capsules I had made, and some of my homemade antibiotic tincture I made from nasturtium leaves. I think the next day he was better. And then he finally told me, he goes, "Oh yeah, my ear infection cleared right up and it's totally gone." So I was like, cool. So there we have it. There's a nice little ball of turmeric curry black pepper cheese. And so I'll be sticking this in my refrigerator and letting it finish setting up. This is the glass lock or snap lock. I really like this stuff, and I'll put a link to these below. Really great for food storage. You can use jars, of course, mason jars, but sometimes there's things where you want something more shallow, and I love these. I had bought 2 full sets of them. Now the actual set that I bought is a little different than the link I'm going to give you because that set is no longer available. All right, and here is the lid. Now the lid is plastic, but typically your food isn't touching it, and it is BPA free at least. And it just locks into place like that. Really like this. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new. And don't forget to add in the comments what you like to do with your homemade cheese or your leftover whey from making, whether it be you straining your yogurt or making cheese or whatever it is that you end up with whey. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless. And then I just strained it out like you'll see me do later in this video. And then I just strained it out like you'll see me do later in this video. The dogs are playing. Oh my gosh, that sounded really bad.